LunchTime.
A very good afternoon. It's the 6th of February 2023. You're watching the Lunchtime News here on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Sanita Senanai. Before we take a look at the stories that we've got for you this afternoon in detail, let's take a look at the headlines. Earthquake in southeast Turkey kills over 100. No Sri Lankans harmed. Embassy confirms. Police obstruct protest held against taxes at the Lake House roundabout. Bangladesh expects Sri Lanka to repay money loaned by September. Former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon arrives in Sri Lanka. Justice Nisanka Bandula Karunaratne sworn in as the President of the Court of Appeal. Taking a look at your top story for this afternoon. A powerful earthquake has hit Gaziantep in southeastern Turkey near the border with Syria, killing more than 250 people. Over 1,000 are reportedly injured. The Sri Lankan embassy in Turkey says they are investigating whether any Sri Lankans have been affected by the earthquake. When News First made inquiries, the Sri Lankan embassy in Turkey said consulas in neighboring countries will also look into the well-being of Sri Lankans living in their respective countries.
The US Geological Survey said the 7.8 magnitude tremor struck at 4:17 local time at a depth of 17.9 kilometers near the city of Gaziantep. The quake was felt in the capital Ankara and other Turkish cities and also across the wider region. Many buildings have collapsed and there are reports of people being trapped. Officials said 10 cities were affected and the tremor was also felt in Syria, Lebanon and Cyprus. Turkish seismologists estimated the strength of the quake to be 7.4 magnitude. They said that a second tremor hit the region just minutes later. Turkey lies in one of the world's most active earthquake zones. In 1999, more than 17,000 people were killed after a powerful tremor rocked the northwest of the country.
The bodies of a father and his 2 children were discovered in Godigamuwa Pollamegoda in Aranayaka.
According to the police, the father and his 2 sons had left their house last evening. The bodies were discovered by a person who had been passing a wayside inn. The bodies were found laying in a corner of the inn. According to the police, the father had died by suicide. The 2 children were just 9 and 6 years of age. The father was 33 years old. Further investigations into the incident are being carried out by the police.
Government and semi-government trade unions came together to hand over a letter to the Finance Ministry this morning demanding a reduction in the increased imposed on interest rates and taxes. As the group attempted to move towards the Ministry of Finance from near the Lake House roundabout, they were obstructed by the police. Despite the police attempts, the group started moving towards the Finance Ministry from Lake House roundabout, where the police intercepted them once again. Ten protesters were later allowed to go to the Ministry of Finance. According to our correspondent, 10 protesters got the opportunity to present their issues to the Ministry of Finance. In more local news, the Professionals Trade Union Front distributed pamphlets at multiple locations today opposing unjust taxation.
The GMOA representing the Professionals Trade Union Front distributed pamphlets opposite the Fort Railway Station in Colombo. Tax laws have been amended by the government to levy income tax from 6% to 36% when the monthly salary, other allowances and non-monetary benefits exceed 100,000. Through the distribution of pamphlets, the GMOA hopes to create awareness on a multitude of issues that have arisen due to this unjust tax regime.
The government is acting in a lackadaisical manner. We cannot function like this as a nation. We have a responsibility towards the people. We don't agree with the government's arbitrary behavior. If they want to force professionals onto the streets and if they cannot understand our demands, we are ready to make them understand over this week. We will address them in a language they will understand.
Meanwhile, the Bank of Ceylon Employees Union distributed leaflets opposite the Maradana railway station today, apprising the masses of the new tax policy.
We repeatedly attempted to bring this to the government's attention to support them, introduce amendments. We are not against paying taxes, but the government is not willing to engage in discussions with us. Therefore, as a collective of trade unions, we have decided to enter into severe trade union actions by the middle of this week or towards the end. In more news, according to a report, Bangladesh's foreign minister says Bangladesh expects to receive the money loaned to Sri Lanka by September this year.
According to a Bangladesh media report, Foreign Minister A.K. Abdul Momen has said, quote, Sri Lanka is gradually doing better. They are recovering slowly. We have given them time till September to repay the loan, unquote. The foreign minister, who returned to Bangladesh yesterday from Sri Lanka, said the new government in Sri Lanka is running the country, quote, pretty well, unquote. Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe has conveyed Sri Lanka's gratitude to the Bangladesh government and Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina for their timely assistance. Foreign Minister Momen was in Sri Lanka as a guest for the country's 75th Independence Day celebrations. Bangladesh Bank earlier granted Sri Lanka 6 more months to repay the $200 million loan after the island nation requested to extend the repayment period due to its prolonged economic crisis. In a friendly gesture, Bangladesh had extended the loan to cash-strapped Sri Lanka under a currency swap arrangement in 2021.
In more local news, social media activist Darshana Handungoda, who was arrested last night, is expected to be produced in courts today.
He was arrested by the CID upon arrival at the BIA from Dubai. The CID says he was arrested over controversial statements published by him on social media.
Former Secretary General of the United Nations Ban Ki-moon arrived in Sri Lanka this morning on an official visit.
State Minister of Foreign Affairs Tharaka Balasuria was present at the Bandaranaike International Airport to welcome the former UN Secretary General. 4 others accompanied Ban Ki-moon on his visit. According to the Foreign Ministry, Ban Ki-moon will meet with President Ranil Wickremesinghe, Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena and Environment Minister Ahmed Nazir as well. He is scheduled to depart the island tomorrow.
Justice Nisanka Bandula Karunaratne was sworn in as the President of the Court of Appeal this morning.
He was sworn in before President Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Presidential Secretariat. Meanwhile, High Court Judge M.A.R. Marikar also took oaths before the President as a judge of the Court of Appeal.
Sri Lanka's election headquarters.
Only a few days away from the local government elections, views regarding the local government election were expressed in the political arena.
Look
at what has happened to the country when they portrayed a scarecrow as a hero. Today, the people who used to eat all 3 meals a day are only able to afford 1 meal. They are helpless. They are forced to purchase cheap medicines. They are enforcing an unfair tax policy on people's incomes. The people have to bear electricity and water tariffs hikes from time to time. It was the corrupt regime in the Rajapaksa administration that brought you to this situation. Ranil Wickremesinghe, who came to power to end corruption, started getting involved with the thieves. We will defeat Ranil Wickremesinghe, the protector of this gang of thieves, at the election. The government is constantly saying it does not have money. The government has no mandate. But they went ahead and spent on the 75th Independence Day celebrations anyway. And yet, they cannot spend for the democratic rights of the people. They are in an uncomfortable position. If someone says that we can rebuild this country following the same path that led us to this situation for 75 years, the people will not believe them. We need a new path. Today, political authorities are using the economic crisis to stay in power. We are contesting this election in order to shift this country onto a new path.
පරණ වැරදි පුරුදු පාරම වෙනුවට අලුත් මාවතක් පිළිබඳ සාකච්ඡාව ජනතාවත් එක්ක බෙදා ගන්න.
In the midst of political power struggles, the farmers of our country are facing many crises. This is the fate of pumpkin farmers in Nochiagama.
The pumpkin farmers of the Nochiagama, Thalgaswewa, Ihelamaragawewa and Katumulugama areas cultivated pumpkins in an area of around 1,000 acres this Maha season. However, they did so while facing many difficulties that had arisen due to the fertilizer crisis. The farmers point out that at present they do not get a proper price for their harvest.
We get about 30 or 35 rupees for our harvest. We spend around 100,000 rupees on the cultivation, which means that we cannot earn even 25,000 rupees from that. We need at least 100 rupees for our harvest.
The farmers of the Mullipatana and Sajinagar areas in Trincomalee are facing hardships due to the yellowing of crops. They point out that cultivations for this season had been carried out in the area of around 650 acres. However, they state that the yellowing of crops disease has spread over a majority of their cultivations. They became even more helpless due to the heavy rains destroying their croplands.
Now our lands have been destroyed due to the heavy rains. We cultivated these crops with the greatest difficulty amidst the fertilizer crisis. Now all of it has been destroyed.
They are asking for a quick solution for all the problems they face.
The Hurulueva Joint Farmers Association says there is no proper price for their paddy harvest.
The Hurulueva Joint Farmers Association says there's no proper price for their paddy harvest.
Reaping the harvest for the Maha season. At present, the price they pay us per kilogram is 65 or 70 rupees. The Minister of Agriculture and the officers in charge of purchasing the harvest had been informed that it is important for the farmers who produce the harvest to be protected and that they should pay us at least 130 rupees per kilogram. They had not made any arrangement for that and instead distributed 63 kilograms of urea and caused this severe damage. A roof over one's head and food to fill one's stomach. These are basic needs for anyone. However, fulfilling these two basic needs is now a challenge to many people in our country. We came across an elderly couple in Katukastora who have been forced to live on the streets after they lost their home.
The area under the Katukastora bridge, which has been built over the Mahaveli River, is unsuitable for people to live in, but it has been home for this elderly couple. 74-year-old Richard Silva and 70-year-old K. Sitti previously lived in Kahalla. 4 years ago, they lost the house they had built with their own blood, sweat and tears.
We had previously built a small hut. We were unaware that there was a court case against that. One day, when we both were not at home, our small hut had been demolished. Because we had nowhere else to go, we moved to this area under the bridge.
These senior citizens have to bear cold winds that come with the flow of the river. Finding food to eat is a challenge. Richard Silva and K. Sithi have just one hope for the future.
News First with the people.
In more local news, the Supreme Court today ordered the petitioners to send notices to the chairman of the Ceylon Electricity Board and the chairman of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation.
The fundamental rights petition filed by General Secretary of the Ceylon Teachers Union, Joseph Stalin, calling for an order to be issued to officials, including the Secretary to the Minister of Power and Energy, the Subject Minister and the Ceylon Electricity Board to refrain from imposing power cuts during the GCA level examination, was taken up today. The Supreme Court bench comprising Justices Priyantha Jayawardena, Achala Vengapuli and Mahinda Samyawardena directed their focus towards an attorney not being present in court to represent the respondent when the petition was taken up. They ordered for the petition to be taken up for consideration once again on the 14th of July. The petitioner requested the Supreme Court to issue a determination that the basic rights of over 300,000 students sitting for the A-level exam were violated due to the actions of the Secretary to the Ministry of Power and Energy and the Subject Minister. The bench allowed the petitioner's request to amend the heading of the petition. The Ceylon Electricity Board, the CEB chairman, the chairman of the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, the Mahavali Authority and the Attorney General were named as respondents in the petition.
Today's power interruption has been restricted to 2 hours. Accordingly, a 40-minute power cut was scheduled for the morning, while a 20-minute power cut has been scheduled for the night. The Ceylon Electricity Board says that power cuts have to be implemented as less amounts of water is being released for the generation of hydropower and because of the fuel shortage which affects the production of thermal power.
The remains of former Archbishop of Colombo, His Grace, the Most Reverend Dr. Oswald Gomes, will be laid to rest at St. Lucia's Cathedral in Kotahena this evening.
A special vehicle entourage carrying the former Archbishop mortal remains travelled to the University of Colombo this morning and was placed at the university premises for final respects to be paid. Final rites are scheduled to be conducted at 3 p.m. today at St. Lucia's Cathedral in Kotahena and will be conducted by the Bishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit. Former Archbishop of Colombo and former Chancellor of the University of Colombo, His Grace and Most Reverend Dr. Oswald Gomes was called to eternal rest on the 3rd of February. He was at the forefront of enhancing religious harmony in the country and also rendered value contributions to literature.
In international news, Beyonce and Viola Davis broke records at the 65th Annual Grammy Awards in California today. Billed as music's biggest night, the Grammys are the industry's most prestigious awards.
The show was attended by Adele, Harry Styles, Lizzo, Shania Twain and Stevie Wonder. Beyonce has broken the record for the most Grammy Award wins of all time after collecting her 32nd trophy at this year's ceremony. The singer made history as she won the Best Dance Electronic Album for her euphoric dance opus Renaissance. In doing so, she overtook Hungarian-British conductor George Solti, whose record of 31 awards had stood for more than 20 years. Meanwhile, Viola Davis has joined the elite group of EGOT winners with her victory at the Grammy Awards on Sunday. Known as US Entertainment's Grand Slam, the illustrious acronym EGOT signifies a recipient of an Emmy, a Grammy, an Oscar and a Tony Award as well. Davis is the 18th person to achieve EGOT status. She won her first Grammy on Sunday for her audiobook recording of her memoir, Finding Me. Adele also won Best Pop Vocal Performance on Easy On Me, dedicating her prize to her son Angelo. Icon star Dr. Dre wins the first ever Global Impact Award, which will be named in his honor.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of Lunchtime News here on TV1. For the News First team, I've been Sanitha Senanayake. Take care and stay safe.